Hey, welcome to Aaron's Heart. My name is Darby and I'll be your bartender today. Our special is Ireland's own Tipperary. So the Tipperary cocktail, we know for a fact that it has been around for quite a while, at least since 1916, where it first appeared in print, at least, in Hugo R. Estlin, and his recipe book. It was called. So it wasn't really a book. It was kind of just like a bunch of like cards, basically put together, and they published it. And it's called Recipes for Mixed Drinks. So that was its first appearance in about 1916. Later, it appeared again in kind of like a rebalance or slightly reimagined, still use all the same ingredients, but a slightly rebalanced version in 1922 in the pioneer or legend, whatever you want to call him, Harry McElhorn, and in his book, ABC of Cocktail Mixing. And that was kind of where it got its more modern interpretation as we would know it. And then again, the final iteration, which is my personal favorite out of the three, which there are many more than just these three that we're going through, but my personal favorite is actually a very modern interpretation from the owner, bartender, operator of the Dead Rabbit in New York. I believe it's actually in New York City. James McGarry. A lot of Mick names today, Mac and Mix. So he kind of reinvented it or rebalanced it again as almost like a riff, right, on the classic cocktail, the Bijou, which we'll be going over later. I'm gonna cover that in a whole nother video. That's a very good cocktail also. But anyway, this is a really, really simple cocktail, okay? So it's basically 4 ingredients, but it uses 2 of my absolute favorite things. It uses Irish whiskey and it uses green chartreuse. You'll also need sweet vermouth. I prefer this red Dolan red vermouth. It's really, really good. It's cheap, it's easy to get. And then of course, let's not do that. You'll need Angostura Bitters because Angostura Bitters goes with everything, I think. So out of these ingredients, right, the initial recipe, they were all equal parts. And then Harry McElhorn's version like ramped up the amount of our Irish whiskey in it. And then we kind of come to this like happy medium between the two with Mr. McGarry's from the Dead Rabbit. So, and that's the one we're gonna focus on today because I really think that it is the best out of the 3 in my opinion. So let's just go ahead and get this thing made. The original did in fact call for Bushmills. This is, according to Bushmills label, this is the original Irish whiskey, the world's oldest licensed whiskey distillery. So I don't know if that's actually true or not, but I had just enough left to make this cocktail. So that's what we're gonna do. So let's go ahead. You're gonna need 1.5 ounces. This is a stirred drink, so there's no juices in here. So stirred, goes straight into our glass. 1.5 ounces of, oh, come on. Oh yeah, we got plenty of our Irish whiskey. Let's cover this up before I knock it over. Did that a couple of weeks ago, made a mess. We're gonna need 1 ounce of our sweet red vermouth. And you don't need to use the red vermouth. I just like it better. I think it's got a better flavor. Like it's got more body than some of the Blanc sweet vermouths. And then you're gonna need half an ounce of our Green Chartreuse. I'm glad that it, as much as I want to use this in literally everything, last words and everything else, I love Green Chartreuse, or, well, both, green and yellow. These are getting super hard to find. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on behind the scenes, but they are getting hard to find. And then finally, you're gonna need 2-ish big dashes of Angostura Bitters, all right? If your dasher bottles are like mine and they're starting to wear out on top because you use them to absolute death, be careful because it'll go everywhere, okay? Now, let's grab our ice and let's grab our chilled coupe. This drink is traditionally served up, so no ice, of course. Do you need to serve it up? No, I don't think you do. I think if you put it in a rocks glass with a big cube, it will lengthen the evolution on this, or it'll at least lengthen the cocktail. But we're gonna serve it up, so that means you're gonna need to do a lot of stirring, okay? Not a lot, but you're gonna wanna stir it completely, right? Because there's no ice, there's no extra water added to this as you drink it. All right, that on there, and let's go ahead. So it's a beautiful golden color. It's really interesting because the vermouth coloring doesn't come out red, it comes out gold. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, the Tipperary, it's a super simple cocktail that I absolutely adore. This is the most modern interpretation, which is courtesy of the fine men and women at the Dead Rabbit. So it's lovely. It's the chartreuse. Okay, so it's interesting. Even though there's only half an ounce of the green chartreuse, it is the most dominant from the nose to that first little bit of your sip. It is absolutely the most dominant flavor in there. I'm an Irish whiskey fanboy, and I will fight anybody that says Irish whiskey is the beginner's whiskey. It probably is, but it's delicious. It's very soft. It's very neutral. It tends to have a little bit more, in my opinion, more vanilla flavors, and that comes through in here. The vermouth gives it a little sweetness, which I think boosts up that level of, it's like there's a level of sweetness naturally from the whiskey, and then the vermouth pushes it again. And it's funny because that level of sweetness is contradicted so perfectly. Right? This is so well balanced because you get sweet, you get almost savory, right? You get the savory from the Bushmills, and then you get this herbal and earthy like tones in the nose. It's almost floral, right? From the chartreuse. And then I think, the Angostura Bitters just kind of brings it all together. You could serve this just exactly like this. You could put this in a rocks glass with an ice cube. You could serve this with or without a garnish. I think if you do a garnish, I would do like Dead Rabbit does, and they serve it with a very thin peel. From what I've seen, they serve it with a very thin peel of orange that has been expressed over the top, and that's phenomenal. But I felt like it takes away, personally, I feel like it takes away from the like almost nuttiness that you get between the Bushmills and the chartreuse. It comes out with this nutty, earthy, it's full, it's bright, which is great because as you can see, I'm in a sweater with no jewelry on. I don't even have my wedding ring on today because it's just been like a day to sit and relax. It's gross outside, it's raining, and this is earthy and grounding and fun to drink because it's not like the sky outside. It's not gray, right? It's very bright, it's bold, it's vivid. And quite frankly, it's just a delight. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the Tipperary. I hope that you give Irish whiskey a shot. Use Bushmills, use one of these other ones. Jameson Black Barrel would be great in here. Teeling would be phenomenal in here. Go ahead and give this a try. Experiment a little bit with different Irish whiskeys. experiment with regular American bourbons, you know, that's another way to do it. But anyway, thank you all so very much. Remember, please like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the things that YouTube wants you to do. It helps me keep growing. And until next time, thank you all so very much. Remember, don't drink and drive, drink responsibly, and tip your bartenders. We'll see you in the next video. Cheers.